My name is Charles Browne. Very easy name to remember. Maybe you know Charlie Browne. Most of my students in Japan call me Charlie, probably because of that. I have been in Asia, in Japan actually, for 27 years now. So I've been teaching English at almost every level in the past 27 years, working at junior high schools, senior high schools, with the Ministry of Education, working as director of chain of language schools owned by Sony, and now for many years at a university. My background, as you know, I'm a teacher trainer, but my background is vocabulary acquisition. That's my main area of research. I publish a lot of research and do a lot of talking about the importance of learning vocabulary. And also another theme that's very common through my career has been the use of technology in the classroom. How can technology help teachers? How can technology help learners? And I've seen over the years, I've seen many technologies that have been successful, but also many technologies that have not been successful, that have failed. And so today, what I'd like to talk a little bit about is some of the principles of language learning that I think is important for being successful for online learning. So the title is Personal Language Immersion, Watch to Learn, Learn to Speak. And I will be showing you some examples from a software called EnglishCentral, which I think shows some of these very important principles in action. So these principles to learning successfully online, I think one of the most important ones, at least for me, is the idea of comprehensible input. Do all of you know this term, comprehensible input? It was made popular when I first became a teacher. When I was a teacher in 1985, there was a researcher named Stephen Krashen, and he was at University of Southern California, and he wrote a book called The Natural Approach. And the main idea of the natural approach, the main idea of Krashen's theories, was that if you want to learn a language, if you want to learn a first language, if you want to learn a second language, if you want to have a good output, speaking or output of writing, the most important thing first is lots of input. So that means the input must be listening or watching or reading. And Krashen's idea was that you must get lots and lots of input. Basically, the so-called rules, according to Krashen, is that first of all, the input needs to be understandable. It needs to be understandable. If your level as a language learner is here, but the input that you are getting is way up here, that gap is too much and you can't understand. When I was watching three speakers, I don't speak any Chinese at all. So there was almost no input for me. I couldn't understand the words. But fortunately, actually, the PowerPoints were very interesting. And so I could catch some of the meaning a little bit by that. But anyway, most important thing is that input must be understandable, okay? Second is that the input needs to be interesting, okay? So, for example, if you are, I'm 50 years old, so if I try to learn Cantonese, if you were to give me a low-level Cantonese book, maybe the lowest level might be a children's book, only for like 4-year-old or 3-year-old. But if you give it to me, a 50-year-old academic, maybe it's not so interesting to me because I'm too old. So one of the important things is the input must be understandable, but it also must be interesting for the person. Okay? Also, when possible, the input needs to be authentic. It needs to be real. My students in Japan, my students really do not like textbook English. When I try to teach them from a textbook, they become very sleepy. When I try to show them videos that are from a publisher, very boring, they are sleepy. They like authentic input. And if we are trying to develop a good skill of English, textbook English skill is very different than real-world English skill. So the input should also be authentic, and the input should be a lot. So one of the ways to get comprehensible input is that we need to figure out the level of difficulty of the material. EnglishCentral has thousands and thousands of authentic, real videos from English-speaking countries. But the problem is that my students are down here. Some of them are here, some of them are here, some of them are here. But authentic material is like here, right? So how can I match authentic videos with learners? Well, one way is by finding out the level of the learner and comparing to the level of the video. So basically every video in EnglishCentral, we know the level by difficulty of vocabulary. And we know the level of the learner by their score on a test, such as a TOEFL or TOEIC or IELTS, or even just if they are doing graded reading, how many words. And so it's one way to make the input comprehensible. The students, if we say, oh, they are level 600 on TOEIC, then we can say, okay, all the videos will be level 600 videos. And that way, we can match the level of the content to the learner. But as I said, another really important point is that content, as much as possible, needs to be authentic. We need to expose learners to the interesting and real content as much as possible. If you look at the way EnglishCentral is set up, you will see that there is literally thousands, I think 4,000 or 5,000 videos right now. And you students are able to pick videos, or teachers can pick videos by category. So business English, or travel English, or social English, or media English. But even within each category, there's many subcategories. So media English, you can look at celebrities, or comedy, or funny commercials. And instantly, we can see many choices of authentic video by the topic at their level. This company, they have some kind of, they have a deal with many different providers of authentic content. So my students really love National Geographic. Maybe you know National Geographic. Very beautiful pictures, beautiful video, and also National Geographic works with a publisher, I think it's called Cengage Publishing, and they make a graded reading content. So very easy vocabulary. And so we are able to look at the reading and listening and video content that's at the level of the learners, that's authentic. So Voice of America is also a very interesting website because they use a very easy English for reading and listening and video materials, and some of those you can easily find. Another point that's very important for language learning, for learning a second language, as much as possible, we need to personalize the learning experience. One of the problems that I often see in Japan, as a teacher trainer, I go all around Japan. I work with every board of education. There's 48 prefectures in Japan, and I work with the board of education of every prefecture. So in 1 year, maybe I work with more than 3,000 or 4,000 teachers. And one of the things I'm always surprised by is that so much of the teaching in Japan is the teacher is in the front of the classroom, and 60 students in the back of classroom, all silent. And teacher has one textbook, one way of teaching, and forcing all students to learn in the same way. But when I look at the same Japanese students in my class, I notice that there is so many differences. Some students really like to chat and talk. Some students are very good at learning by memorization or grammar. Some students are very interested in listening to music or movies. Each of them has a different personality. Each of them has a different way of learning. But most teaching classrooms in Japan, it's only one way, one size for everybody. And I think that's not good. Language learning a second language is not easy. So when possible, we need to make a different way of learning, a specialized, personalized way of learning for each student. And I think this is one of the areas where technology can help us. Technology can pay attention to certain points for individual learners, even when we don't have time as teachers. So it's one way where technology can help us by personalizing the learning experience a little bit. For example, with EnglishCentral, one way to personalize is just by choosing the topics that are interesting to you. So every learner has a different reason for learning a language. My students want to become English teachers. Some students want to become businessmen or businesswomen. Some just want to travel. But personalizing the learning experience means using the content that is connected with your goal. So I think that helps to give the students a higher motivation when the content is connected to their goals. Technology here, this is a very nice example of how technology can be used to personalize language learning. When you are going through EnglishCentral, when you're studying videos or studying vocabulary, the system allows you to choose your favorites. You can make a video one of your favorite videos, or you can make a vocabulary word your favorite vocabulary word. You can see the little stars in the left-hand side. Those are stars that I put there because I want to look at these again and again. And the same with vocabulary. The words that I'm having difficulty with, I put the stars next to, and I can study them again and again. So I have a personalized vocabulary list, a personalized video list. So it allows the students to customize the things that are interesting or difficult or that they want to study. The more advanced that technology becomes, the more things are possible. With EnglishCentral, the thing that really surprised me, that was amazing to me about EnglishCentral, is the way that they use voice recognition technology. Maybe all of you know these days what is voice recognition. If you have a car navigation system, maybe it understands your voice. If you call on a telephone, sometimes they recognize your voice. But in language learning, it can also be used in a very interesting way. What we see here is that the voice recognition system in EnglishCentral, what it's doing is it's listening to every time I record my voice. So I listen to a video, I record my voice. And as it listens to my voice, it analyzes which phonemes, which sounds I am pronouncing well, and which phonemes I'm not pronouncing well. Now, I'm a native speaker of English, so everything should be perfect for me. And you can see most of the phonemes is green, 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 green. That's good, 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 good. But actually, one of them is yellow. That means only average. My pronunciation of the ah sound is, according to this system, is average. Why? Well, actually, I'm from New York, and New York has kind of accent. The way we say ah sound is a little bit different than a standard pronunciation. And the EnglishCentral pronunciation system is noticing that my ah sound is a little bit different than a standard English. And so what you can see is it's showing my pronunciation of the ah sound, and we can track over time, this is over 3 or 4 months, you can see all of the examples of my A pronunciation. And the system is designed to help me to improve my pronunciation. So slowly you can see my progress going up. For me, it's not going up so much. It's only going up a little. But for students, for second language learners, usually the curve is up because there's much more room for improvement. But this is a very good example of how technology and good use of database technology and voice recognition software can help to personalize the learning experience. Another really important, I think, point about language learning, especially online, is the importance of scaffolding, okay? Scaffolding, if we just look at the word scaffold, scaffold is like a ladder. Scaffold is like a ladder. But scaffolding in language learning, what it means is helping students from, okay, students are at this level, and the learning material is at this level. There's a gap, okay? How can we get the students from here to here? It's through building a ladder. It's through scaffolding tools, okay? And in an online video learning environment, there are some very simple, easy scaffolding tools that you can build to help students to get from here to here. Maybe the most obvious one is just to change the language of the software. So here on EnglishCentral, you can see on many software has this, but you can change so that when the students come to use the software, they can see the interface, in this case in Japanese, but also Spanish or Chinese or Korean or Turkish, many different languages. So it's a very simple kind of scaffolding tool, but there are many other ones. This is a video of Brad Pitt. Very cute. It's a commercial where he's drinking a Heineken beer and many fans are chasing him. It's a very cute video. But many students, the language is too difficult for them. So how can we make a Brad Pitt video easier for Japanese students or Chinese students? Some very simple techniques are use of captioning. Okay, so you can see here, each sentence by sentence, there's a simple caption. You got a back door? You got a back door? Okay. There's a repeat function. If you push this button here, this sentence, just push the button and one more time, that sentence, again and again. You got a back door? You got a back door? But also, again, technology helps us here because in the past 3 or 4 years, the technology for slowing down the audio has become much improved. I think the company that does it is called Audible. And Audible has made this system where you can slow down a video by about 30%, speed, and it still sounds quite natural. So, you got a back door might become, you got a back door. It still sounds like my voice, but it's slow enough that second language learner can understand. Okay, so those are just a few scaffolding tools. Another very easy one is to make an HTML dictionary. So in EnglishCentral, every word, you got a back door? If you click on the word back, oh, I don't know back, instantly you get a definition. And so what you have here is back, definition, sample sentence, and native speaker pronunciation. And so you click on the word, and when you're finished, you go back and you are watching the video again. But as you notice, there's a little star. So if it's a word that I don't understand or I want to study, and I make it my favorite by clicking on this, it will come back and I can study it later. Does anybody know what a corpus is? Corpus analysis? Do you know this? Okay, well, this is one of my areas of research. I'm a corpus linguist, And what a corpus linguist is it's a linguist who studies words. A corpus is a large collection of words. And what we do is we use computers, and we put millions of words into a computer, And then we analyze, we look very closely, which words are the most important words? Which words are the most frequent words? And that's what corpus analysis is. The English language, do you know how many words there is in English? Well, the largest dictionary of English is the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary. The OED has about 350,000 words, 350,000 words, right? Now, smart native speaker like me, I'm PhD, right? So I must be smart. Do I know all 350,000? No. How many words do you think I would know from 350,000? PhD. 3,000? Oh, I'm very smart. Actually, it's average, but on average, someone like me might know about 35,000. So there's 350,000, but an educated native speaker, only 35,000. Okay? So I only know 10%. The other 90%, it's not so important, right? If you are going to study English as second language, do you want to study 315,000 words that I don't know? Or do you just want the 35,000 that I do know? Of course, you want the words I know, right? I'm a native speaker. So part of corpus linguistics is analyzing which words are most important, which words are most frequent. But even among 35,000, that's still many, many words. Most Japanese college students only know about 2,000, only about 2,000. I know 35,000, so that's a huge gap. So which words should Japanese students study? Which words should Chinese students study? That's what I research about. And the research shows, corpus analysis shows, that if you know about 5,000 words, Japanese students only 2,000, but if you know 5,000 words, that's about 95% of all the words that you will ever meet in your life. All the words in any book, any magazine, any newspaper, any TV show, just 5,000 words. But Japanese students don't know 5,000, not 4,000, not 3,000. They only know about 2. So one of the things I'm trying to do with the many different projects that I'm working on is to help second language learners in Asia, in China, in Hong Kong, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, helping learners to build the knowledge of those 5,000 words. And that's part of what corpus linguistics is. What you will see, for example, EnglishCentral is another company that uses corpus linguistics to analyze which words to study. So for example, if we look at the Brad Pitt video, you will see that there's an analysis of some of the important words from the transcript. From the transcript of Brad Pitt's video, we look at which words are most important, which phonemes are most important, and then we try to teach them. So it's through a corpus analysis of the most important words that learners are, that we are choosing what words the students should learn. What you can see, and this is a really, to me, this is the most amazing thing, maybe because I'm a vocabulary specialist, but the most amazing thing for me in this software is this right here. What's this? Okay, we've got, Brad Pitt video, right? You've got the Brad Pitt video, On the Move for Heineken. Here's some of the important words, okay? And you see the word, the definition. You can see there's a quiz function for them to study the words, and we can see their progress. But what's this? Well, because we have a corpus, because EnglishCentral is a huge corpus of English words, what they do is they do something called tagging. Tagging means that every word in every video is tagged. And so, for example, if you are studying the word still, okay, the word still, all right? If you look over here, it's hard to see. It says over here, next to still, about 435. That means inside of EnglishCentral, there are 435 video clips, 435 examples of the word still being used in authentic context. So if you were to click on this button right here, what happens is you will go to something like this. And instantly, what it does is it pulls together just 20 random clips of the word still being used. And so what the student does is the student suddenly sees a collection of 20 video clips, and it's just one sentence from this video, one sentence from next video, one sentence from next video, but it's the word still, the word still, the word still. And it's in context. Learning vocabulary in context is very important. If you just study flashcard, word definition, there's no context, and we can't learn so much. But this is kind of authentic context, and we can see many, many contexts collected together. And my students, they love this, because what happens is, without studying flashcards so deeply, just by watching videos, they slowly develop a feeling of what still means, because they are watching in many different authentic videos how native speakers use still in different contexts. Now, another principle that's very important is the idea of vocabulary building. Okay, and as I said, that's one of the things that I'm very focused on, is developing students' vocabulary. So even in English Central, there's flashcards, but the very nice thing about English Central flashcards is that every flashcard contains a video clip. So they see the word, they see the definition, part of speech, but there's also a real video clip. Now, I did my research on vocabulary learning with a very famous researcher named Paul Nation. He's maybe the most famous vocabulary researcher in the world. And Paul Nation identified many, many different parts of knowing a word. When we say you know the word fine, what does it mean? If you say, I know this word, what does that mean? There's many different aspects. Okay, so you know the definition, but can you spell it? Can you say it? Can you write it? Can you read it? Can you know the words, the collocations that go around it? There's many different aspects. So word knowledge is very complex. And fortunately, one of the things that English Central does very nicely is that it develops different aspects of word knowledge. So each word will be tested in many different ways. So for example, definition matching with an authentic clip, close testing with an authentic clip, spelling practice with an authentic clip. Many different aspects of word knowledge is slowly developed. And another aspect of learning vocabulary is the idea of spaced repetition. Spaced repetition means that if you just study a word just for one day, you will quickly forget it. So if I give you a vocabulary test tomorrow on 10 words, maybe you study for the test, but quickly you will forget those words 1 week later or 2 weeks later. So it's important not to study the words just one time. You have to study it today, but also 1 week from now you should study again. And 1 month from now, study again. And 3 months from now, study again. And spaced repetition science means that if you study the same word 3 or 4 times, just 3 or 4 times, you will remember that word forever. It will go from short-term memory to long-term memory. And again, English Central has that kind of science behind it. It's kind of invisible, you can't see it, but that spaced repetition system is tracking a student's knowledge over time. Another principle that's very important for language learning is called noticing the gap. Noticing the gap. Now, Schmidt said, he sort of criticized Krashen. Krashen is somebody I really think is good. The idea of input is very important. But Krashen's problem is that Krashen said only input. Output is not necessary. Everything else is not necessary, only input. And many people like Schmidt criticized Krashen, and they were right. They didn't say input is wrong. Yes, input is important, but it's not enough. We also need other things. And what Schmidt said is that input only is not enough, because we need to notice. We need to notice the input. And if we notice the input, then it can go up into our brain and we will remember it. So noticing the gap means noticing the difference. Most of you are not a native speaker of English, right? It's a second language for you. So noticing the gap means that if you are a second language speaker of English, and maybe I am here, I'm standing here. If you hear my voice and you hear your voice saying the same thing, if you notice there's a gap, if you notice there's a difference, that's an opportunity for learning. That's a chance for you to change your broken pronunciation and make it better. That's one of the principles that you will see in the English language, EnglishCentral learning system. So, for example, Obama speeches are very popular. My students love to listen to Obama. His English is very easy to understand. He's a very eloquent, very good speaker. So, to notice the gap, what you need to do is to listen to Obama, listen to an authentic English, listen to him say a sentence, then record your voice, the same sentence, and then try to notice the gap. If you can notice a gap between Obama's English and your English, that's a chance for learning. So what you can see here is that the EnglishCentral system gives you instant feedback. So, for example, here you can see, and you have a responsibility to yourself to discover what that is, okay? This is in green because I've already recorded my voice. But all of the words here are green. That means I recorded them well and there is no gap. But the word discover is gray. That means that the system, the EnglishCentral system, noticed that I made a mistake. Maybe I made a mistake with discover. So if we click on this word, what you can see is native speaker, Obama's pronunciation, discover. But my pronunciation, discover, but there's a red mark next to the R. So the system noticed that maybe my R was not pronounced strongly enough. And if we push the button here and here, we can listen. Obama's English, my English. Obama's English, my English. And it gives us a chance to notice the gap. And then we can record again, and we can record again, and we can get a score. And so students get an instant feedback, and they get a chance to raise their grade by recording again and again. And again here, if I have a difficulty with this word, I can just push the star, and it will go to my favorites and come back again. Another thing that I think is really important, that I've just always felt about teaching tools, is that in Japan, maybe China is different, but in Japan, teachers are very, very busy people. Maybe you have lots of free time? I'm joking. I'm sure it's the same. In Japan, Japanese English teachers, especially high school and junior high school teachers, on average teach 20 classes a week. 20 classes a week. Sometimes they have a homeroom class. Sometimes they have club activity. They have PTA. They have so many things. And then on top of that, if we say, okay, please use this software, they don't have time. If the software is difficult to use, if the software requires a lot of learning, they won't use it. So the software has to be very convenient and very easy for teachers to setting assignments and tracking a progress. And so this is one of the things that I think EnglishCentral has done very nice. They've made it very easy for you to set a goal for your students. So please watch 5 videos a week, or learn 25 words, or speak 5 videos. And it tells you how many hours that will take about. So the teacher just sets a class, sets a goal, and almost that's it. If you like, you can select some videos. So step 1 is set the goal. Step 2, you can select the videos. Now selecting the video, there is a complete course. So you can say, okay, everybody study National Geographic. And every student, every week, watches the same videos, week by week, everybody the same. That's one way. But another way is to say, no, I want students to select themselves. I just want them to watch video and learn vocabulary, but anything is good according to their interest. So you can let the student select. That's quite possible. So if you go back, okay, as a teacher, I want them to learn 5 videos and 25 words and speak 5 videos, but they can do any video related to their interest. So that's if you select this button. Or you can select the video course button, or if you just want to focus on one video, say for example the Obama video, you are teaching a class on politics and you want to learn the Obama speech or Martin Luther King's speech. Everybody can learn the same video by selecting this one. So there's different ways to do it. And what you can see, this is an example of video courses such as at the movies or commercials or famous speeches. I think that's Martin Luther King, actually. These are some of the courses. And what a course looks like is something like this. Some of my students right now in Japan selected the course on commercials. The commercial course is very interesting because it's authentic TV commercials, mostly from America, but also Australia and the UK. And each week, the students study the same, usually 4 videos a week. And so Unit 1, everybody this week must watch 4 videos. One of them is by Hal Berry, one by Eminem, one by Ozzy Osbourne, and one by Jennifer Aniston. And we can see the students' progress. Right now, I haven't done anything, so it's 0%, but students can see how much they've made progress on that. And so you can see there's a bunch of different tools for the teachers to help you to invite students or track their progress and so on. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of support there. This is a system. EnglishCentral is a system that can easily be used inside the classroom if you have a computer classroom. And this is a very nice way to use EnglishCentral. You can focus on, for example, you can focus on specific sounds that they're having difficulty with and work as a class. But for me, I tend to use EnglishCentral just as homework. I'm a teacher trainer, so in class I'm focusing on linguistics and teaching methodology, but I want my students to be exposed to English. So outside of class, I say, please watch 5 videos a week, or please learn 25 words a week. And what I can do as a teacher is I can see each student, I can see the phonemes that they're having difficulty with. Those are the red ones, so each student. The phonemes they're good at. I can track their progress very detailed about their phonemic difficulties, also their vocabulary progress, and so on. So it's very, very easy to use outside of class as well as inside of class. It seems to be very, very popular. I think there's more than 10,000 teachers around the world that are using EnglishCentral. So it's really, it's really, a lot of people seem to like it. Certainly I like it. I think my students really enjoy using it. And yesterday I was talking with Emma, and I was talking about the expression, in English we have, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And without even a hesitation, Emma was able to make a reply. She said, well, how about a video a day keeps the teacher away? And I thought that was so cute and so interesting that I thought I'd make my last slide Emma's very interesting and wonderful English. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, please.